Hello, everybody. Welcome to MAWS Talks Wrestling. We are your hosts. I am LunaKage.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Glenburg.
And we've had an interesting week in wrestling here. We had Sunday's Sacrifice, TNA. They're back to doing their monthly pay-per-views now.
Right.
We had the Raw before Extreme Rules, so that means this Sunday is Extreme Rules, so that's 2 Sunday pay-per-views in a row.
Mm-hmm.
And we have SmackDown on Friday, which, I already know what happened because I read the spoilers, because it was recorded yesterday.
Right.
So yeah, we have quite a few things to talk about here. I guess getting into Sacrifice a little bit, glad you said that you didn't get to see it.
Yeah, I was out of town, came in late, was busy the whole week before we got to record. Yeah.
You didn't really miss much. I mean, it's not like it was a terrible pay-per-view. It's just, I guess maybe it's because I haven't been watching TNA, so like when I tune in, it's like,
You're just watching a random card.
Yeah, which isn't that bad, because normally if you just take TNA cards as just cards, they normally end up surprising you a little bit.
Yeah, international matches and all that type of stuff.
Yeah, and I guess it was a decent show as far as wrestling goes. Sadly, I didn't get to see the ending of the main event because for some reason the stream that I watch it on always cuts out right before the shows are about to end. But I guess Eric Young won clean to retain his title. Other matches we had on the card were the final match in a best-of-3 for the X Division Championship between Sonata and Tigre Uno.
Right.
And Sonata won that one. It was a pretty decent match. What else? Oh yeah, we had the match that stole the show. Really, was actually Gunner and James Storm in an I Quit match. Gunner won that one by basically raking James Storm's forehead with a shard of glass.
Right.
And he quit right away after that. But the whole match was pretty decent. Few good spots. They told a pretty decent story. I just hope that this feud is finally over because it's been going for a while now.
Well, you figure, taking a match like an I Quit match or something like a cage match, that usually ends a feud.
Yeah, I mean, since the first match of the feud was a cage match, really it's a good thing that they at least added the I Quit stipulation because normally a cage match is a blow-off to a feud, but if you've already had something like that, then you can really only go farther. You can't really blow off a feud with a normal match if you started it off with a cage match. It wouldn't make any sense. Other than that, the match was actually really good. As far as those two go, anyway.
Now, what about the So you say you didn't see everything that happened at the end, or were you getting to it about the Bully Ray match?
No, the very end was Eric Young and Magnus for the title. I didn't get to see the finish. I just know who won, and I know that it was a clean victory. I don't even know. I didn't even know Eric Young had a finishing move. Like, apparently he won it with a pile driver, I think.
He uses that one a lot.
Yeah, so, like, I mean, geez, how many generic power moves are we going to have for top guys in TNA?
Snake!
Right.
Yeah. What about the match where it was a Bully Ray and Willow against what's the name? Yeah, Rockstar Spud and EC3. I heard like Dixie came in and pushed.
No. You're combining two matches. It was actually Kurt Angle and Willow.
Yeah, that's what I meant. Kurt Angle and Willow, but the Bully Ray match was
a tables match against Robert Roode.
Bobby Roode.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, the table match, Bobby Roode and Bully Ray. I guess Dixie came out in drag and pushed Bobby Roode through the table, and he got the win that way. Oh, speaking of which, the tables match did have another interesting thing in it that I think I first saw during lockdown. Remember during lockdown when it was Ken Anderson versus Samuel Shaw in the cage match?
Right.
And Ken Anderson escaped the cage, but since the ref took a bump and couldn't see it, then he couldn't, count it.
Oh.
I actually thought that was interesting. A lot of people that I know said that was an example of TNA silliness, but I actually think that's legit. I mean, you don't think about the referees in those kind of matches because, normally when you see the guy escape the cage, that's it,
Right.
But in reality, there are referees for those matches. Like, the referees are the ones who call for the bell to the start and to finish. So if the referee doesn't see it in even those kind of matches, then you could still pull that off. And I think that's really creative. I think it's borderline because TNA has done really silly stuff in order to get out of certain things. But I think this is one of the better things they've done. And we had a similar thing happen in the tables match because there is a referee for a tables match. He sees somebody get put through a table, so he calls for the bell.
Right.
In this tables match, Bully Ray was lifting up Robert Roode for a powerbomb, and while he was doing it, I guess Robert Roode, as he was coming up, accidentally hit the referee, and the referee took a bump. And Robert Roode got put through a table, but, Bully didn't win because the ref couldn't call for it.
It'd be funny. What if refs, made decisions based on sound? Like, what if they were knocked out face down on a mat, but then they heard a steel chair shot, and then they pointed to the bell?
Well, I mean, they would have to have somebody, somebody decisive to win it, and that actually brings me to another match that I saw. It wasn't TNA. What was I watching? It was an older pay-per-view.
Right.
I can't remember for the life of me what it was.
Was it WWE or another?
It was WWE because I was doing one of my network binges.
Right.
Basically, what had happened was somebody hit their finisher, and they were really close to the ropes, so the ref counted the 3. But then, as soon as he called for the bell, he noticed that the guy's foot was under the ropes, so he overturned his decision and restarted the match. So, things like that aren't unheard of. They're just not consistent enough to really make any difference, I still can't remember where I saw that match from. I can't even, I've been watching so much network recently that it's just kind of a blur now. The Kurt Angle, Willow against Rockstar Spud and EC3 match wasn't anything special. Willow and Angle won, obviously.
Willow whiffs.
Right. There was a Knockouts championship match between Madison Rayne and Angelina Love.
Right.
And Angelina Love won it, so she's the new Knockouts champion. That match was, it was meh. Wasn't special, really.
I don't know. So let me pause right quick, or interrupt right quick. What do you think about this beautiful people reunion? Do you think it really benefits, or it's just pretty much like how wrestling likes to put stables together just for the hell of it?
Well, in this situation, it doesn't matter. It's a women's stable. There's no more women's tag team belts. So what does it matter? They just brought together a women's tag team and then gave one of them the belt when the other one has been a champion before, when her goal should be to get the belt. So I don't think those tag teams benefit anybody because the women's division, they got one thing to look for. So if you're a women's tag team and you help your friend get the belt, then you should be trying to get the belt too, and not protecting them with the belt, because that doesn't make any sense. At least with men's stables, they normally got at least 3 separate titles to go for. The leader of the stable normally goes for the heavyweight title.
Right.
The secondary guy or the young up-and-comer, whichever one it is, goes for the mid-card title. And then the other 2 guys normally form the de facto tag team, and they go for the tag team belts. It's like the 4 horsemen clause, you know, like every really successful stable has done it like that, you know, like NWO Hogan was always the world champion. One of the guys was the U.S. champion, and normally Hall and Nash, they'd be the tag team champions.
Yeah, like it always is that ideal person that should be the world, like Evolution. Triple H is usually the world champ.
Yeah, and then you had Flair and Batista were tag champs, and Randy Orton was the Intercontinental champion. Even like going into the stable that no one even remembers, usually. Fucking the Cabinet. You remember the Cabinet?
I do.
JBL, the Basham Brothers, and Orlando Jordan. Fucking, you had JBL being the WWE champion. Orlando Jordan was the United States champion.
And the Basham Brothers.
The Bashams were tag team champions.
Yep.
But when you have a women's stable, what does that accomplish? Like, the only goal that a women's wrestler should have, other than settling their own feuds, which happens, is to be the women's champion.
Right, that's pretty much because I mean, outside of that, it's kind of like, unless they kind of mix into the male storylines.
Well, yeah. Unless they're a valet, you know, like that.
Yeah.
That makes sense. But if you're a women's wrestler, and you're not going for the women's championship, what are you doing? Like, what's the point? And the thing about the women's championship is that it's its own division's world title, you know, what have you, but it's also as throwaway as a lesser title. Because, like, I think I've said it before on the show even, like, when you look at Paige, her first day in WWE, she won the women's championship. So now what? You know,
yeah, it's like she has both belts too.
Well, not anymore. Did you not see NXT?
Which week? You talking about last?
This past one, yeah.
Yeah, I didn't. I missed it because I went out of town.
That was when I first went out of town. The very beginning of the show, JBL, who's the general manager of NXT, showed up and told her that she needed to vacate the title because she's in WWE now and it wouldn't be fair to NXT, you know, whatever.
Well, that's cool because we don't want her to be the ultimate diva right now.
Yeah, but what I thought was weird was that during that segment it made perfect sense to me, because that was like, all right, so Paige is kind of like this, like, undefeated sort of women's champion. Like, I don't know if she was ever defeated before that episode, or, you know, because I wasn't really watching, but the way they made her sound was that she was, you know, the first ever NXT women's champion and the longest reigning, and she never lost it. Like, she vacated it. But, like, I thought that was fine, because I was like, oh, so she's like the ultimate woman coming from NXT, because she never lost her belt, and she immediately gets the women's championship, the Divas championship, when she comes to Raw. So, you know, like, that kind of makes her look strong. But then she was in a tag team match on that episode of NXT, and she was the one that took the pin. So, I mean, if you were going to have her get pinned regardless by the woman who's probably going to be the next NXT Women's Champion, then why didn't you just have her lose the title?
I see, yeah, just actually make it a match. You know, not just she's the women's champion right now, but she loses to someone on NXT.
Yeah, and that's where the disconnect kind of is, because it was a tag team match. You know, it was Emma and Paige against Charlotte and Sasha Banks.
Right. And
Charlotte pinned Paige for the win, and this was already after she lost the title, because she lost it at the beginning. So, wouldn't that technically mean that Charlotte has a win over the Divas champion? So shouldn't she be #1 contender now?
That's what I was gonna say. That's gonna be weird, because that means And basically, if as long as Paige is the women's champ, if any NXT girl beats her, they technically would get a title shot. And
technically, but they'd probably pull the Kofi Kingston clause, which also doesn't make sense because that motherfucker still should be in some kind of championship match. He beat the champion clean. Come on. All right. Anyway.
I remember that.
Okay, so Charlotte, Ric Flair's daughter, she's most likely going to be the next NXT Women's Champion. But what they decided to do was, what JBL decided to do was have a tournament to crown the new Women's Champion, and we didn't have any matches for that night. So
next week, you think they'll make the show? Well, the entire show women's matches. Because I mean, they only operate on an hour. That's what I'm trying to wonder. How many people are in the tournament for starters?
I don't know. He didn't say anything about it except that there was going to be a tournament.
Okay. It's like a whole separate pay-per-view.
Right. So
like King of the Ring for women's.
Yeah. So really, I have no idea.
Oh, I just thought about that. I was joking about King of the Ring. What if they did like a Queen of the Ring kind of thing?
Maybe.
Yeah. But yeah. What was you about to say though?
I don't know. Oh yeah. On that same episode, you had Sami Zayn team up with the Usos to take on Corey Graves and the Ascension.
Corey Graves, yep. How was that match? Because I was looking forward to it. I just missed it.
It was a pretty good match. Sami Zayn, I believe, wasn't it Sami Zayn? Maybe it was one of the Usos. I forget who got the pin, but that team won, and I know Corey Graves was the one that took the pin. Because I just think it's interesting how we're getting all these champions showing up on NXT and having matches. Like, how long is it going to be before we start getting WWE titles defended on NXT?
Right. Like, what does that remind me of? I'm trying to think of the best example. Or it kind of reminds me of how, like, it was a pay-per-view setting, but when they defended, like, a WWE Championship at one of the ECW pay-per-views.
Yeah.
Like, One Night Stand.
Like, I think it'd be pretty cool. I think it'd be pretty cool if, like, during the next, or one of the next NXT specials, the 2-hour specials, is if you had, like, this kind of championship challenge thing where there was not going to be any kind of, like, matches to defend one of them, but say have, like, the NXT Women's Champion face the Divas Champion, have the NXT Tag Champions face the Tag Team Champions, and have the NXT Champion face, one of the singles champions, whether it be one of the mid-cards or even the World Heavyweight Champion. Not in actual title matches, but just kind of like a showcase
that would actually
NXT.
Make sense.
I think that'd be cool because it would be showcasing the NXT stars on a similar level of the WWE stars, and even have, like, the NXT guys do an upset victory over one of them. Like, that'd be pretty cool.
Yeah, it's kind of like if you play like the old SmackDown versus Raw games when it was like when worlds collide, that kind of gimmick. So it's like the best of both worlds, finally collide with each other since they treat them like two different universes.
Right.
Yeah.
So I think it'd just be kind of cool to have them, like, showcase each other. Showcase NXT along with the WWE superstars. Like, put champion against champion. It'd be like a cool thing to kind of watch for a free show on the network. 2-hour NXT special where it's all about the matches.
Wow. So seeing Adrian Neville against Daniel Bryan would be pretty interesting.
Oh yeah, like, that match would be good.
Yeah.
And definitely you wouldn't want to have Neville go over because it is the World Heavyweight Champion you're talking about, the top guy of the whole company, kayfabe wise.
It'll probably be a caliber match, kind of like Cesaro and Sami Zayn.
Right, yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Like, Cesaro, he was already a WWE superstar. Not only that, but he was in a WWE Championship match later that month that he fought Zayn at Arrival. So obviously, he wouldn't have been the one to take the fall, as much as people would have, and myself included. We wanted to see Sami Zayn win that match just because of the story involved. But the way they did it, like, even though it was a loss, I think it was amazing anyway. So it all kind of works out in the end.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree about that. I would like to see that, though.
Yeah. Usos versus the Ascension. I mean, they already kind of did that with the 6-man. And, like, if we were to get, like, Paige versus Charlotte, that's a match that was probably going to happen eventually anyway, So, why not? And especially in the case of Paige and the Usos, they're champions that are are WWE champions, but they are at a low enough level to where either one of them, it wouldn't really damage them a lot to lose to one of the NXT guys anyway.
Yeah, so this makes me think now because, like you said, WWE Superstars actually compete on NXT now, right?
A lot of them, yeah.
Yeah. So I'm wondering if the champions will be the gateway to an NXT Superstar instantly going to Raw now, like how Paige beat AJ. So, like if somebody like Charlotte was to fight Paige and managed to take the belt off her, just in the near future or whenever future.
Yeah, that would definitely that would be an interesting cross promotional way to get to move a talent up onto the main roster.
Right.
But again, like it kind of suffers through the same thing that I was talking about. At least, like if we're talking about women, the women wrestlers and the tag teams.
Right.
It's like, okay, they won their WWE title on NXT.
Right.
So that means they're at the main roster, but where do they go from here? They've already gotten the prize for their division. So it's like at this point, it's like, all right, let's see how long I can reign. And then if I lose it, I guess I'll try to get it back. That's really all it is at that point. It's like, the way that I can kind of word it is, did you see the WrestleMania 30 Daniel Bryan special that they put up on the network?
I did. That was pretty cool.
Yeah, like near the end of it, like I think it was like the last 5 minutes, Daniel Bryan is like, yeah, it was my dream to main event WrestleMania and what have you. And then he's like, well, where do I go from here? I guess try to do it again. Like he basically said the same thing that I keep saying about stuff like that. It's like once you've made it to the top of your division. See, at least in terms of like tag teams, guys like the Ascension, if they break up, they could at least have a career as single stars, and then they got 3 more titles that they could potentially get.
Right.
But like a woman, once she's won the Divas title, what's she gonna do?
It's kind of like just like welcome to the club, Total Divas.
Right.
Kinda
and a tag team, like if they're nothing but a tag team. If they win the titles, they're not really going to have anything else to do except be in the tag team division. Like look at Cody Rhodes and Goldust, right?
Right.
When they won the tag team championship, it was like, oh man, this is awesome. Like that whole angle was great. Like it stole the show several times because Goldust was like in great form for someone his age. And then Cody is always good, so it's like, oh, the Rhodes brothers are the tag team champions. This is great. But then what happened when they lost the titles? They stopped doing stuff.
And they disappeared, and you only see them every once in a while in singles competition.
But, I mean, it looks like they're heading for a breakup eventually, and I guess we're going to see the match that we wanted to see at WrestleMania, except it's probably going to happen at another pay-per-view. Like, maybe it'll happen in time for SummerSlam. It'd be a good quality SummerSlam match, but it would have been really nice to see it at WrestleMania. One thing I am worried about, though, is that it's looking like Cody is going to be the one to be the heel, and I think that kind of sucks, because I really like babyface Cody Rhodes. Like, especially if you've ever seen what he does on the JBL and Cole show. Like, he's so perfect in that role. Like, you could just easily make his wrestling character his JBL and Cole show character, like they did with Matt News Barrett. because like he's goofy, but like he's goofy in a way where it's not comedy character goofy.
Okay,
Like,
so kind of like down to earth thing, yeah.
kinda like, I mean, he's self-centered in a funny way,
Right.
and he's just kind of, I don't know, it's hard to explain it, but like he's not like Santino levels of
Right.
comedy character, like this will only ever work for comedy. But like if you just gave Cody Rhodes like a little bit of that JBL and Cole show character that he's got, like he could be fun, like he'd be interesting.
It's funny that you say that because, Wade Barrett had a transition where he was trying to find a character that really worked for him. He did the Nexus angle. He got the Barrett the first time. It didn't really work as well. But then with the Bad News Barrett thing, that's like his best gimmick at this point.
Right.
And it was like just a slight adjustment to what he already had with the beard and stuff. He still has the bullhammer and all that.
Yeah, which is interesting because I thought Bullhammer was a new finisher, but apparently he was using it like even before he took this last little sabbatical that he was having.
Right.
And I was surprised by that because it's like I thought the Bullhammer was like, the Bad News Barrett thing, but I'm just glad he doesn't use the fucking Wasteland anymore. That stupid ass looking move.
I remember that.
Did you you remember the time where he put kind of Randy Orton through a table with it? It was the stupidest looking thing because like the table is like waist high,
right?
So like you got somebody on your shoulders and you basically let him down, and in order to do that you have to bend over a substantial amount. So he didn't so much put him through a table as he kind of snugly just draped him onto a table, and it fell apart under the weight of Orton.
That's funny when you put it that way.
Yeah, that move, like, if he wants to do it as a signature, that's perfectly fine, but he should never be getting pinfalls with that fucking thing. Especially when he's got the black hole slam, the winds of change, and and like the bullhammer and stuff. Like those moves are much more effective as finishing moves than the Wastelander would be. And like I hope that one day he does start using the winds of change as like a second finishing move.
Right.
Because it seems like nowadays we're not getting too many second finishing moves from people anymore. Like they're usually sticking to just one with a bunch of signatures.
You see the rock bottom and the people's elbow.
Right.
Yeah.
Rock bottom and the people's elbow, or Jeff Hardy with the twist of fate or the swanton. Like stuff like that. But now it's like, Sheamus has 35 different signatures that'll get a 2 count with. But only the brogue kick will actually get him the win, like.
Right. He never does white noise that much anymore, does he?
No, he does white noise all the time. He loves that move, but it never gets him a pin.
That's why I was thinking.
Like, he always does the Samoan roll. I believe that's what the actual name for it. Maybe I'm making it up, but the fireman's carry into a forward roll.
Yeah, I see it a lot from him. He
does that all the time, but never gets him the pin. He does the Irish Curse backbreaker, never gets him the pin. I don't see him use the Celtic Cross anymore, and that move is actually getting him pins for a while.
Well, I guess what about Daniel Bryan? He has the knee. What was the actual name for it again?
He doesn't have one. It's the running knee.
I thought he did name it at some point.
No, I call it the Solid Knee Plus.
Solid Knee Plus. But I know he has that in the S-Lock, which it doesn't get a 3 count, but it gets a submission victory.
Well, yeah, like that does count, but the thing about the main event, like WWE, is that they don't really like giving out submissions a whole lot.
Yeah.
So if Daniel Bryan was going to make it as a main event babyface, he needed a pinfall finisher. Because the S-Lock, it'll get him submissions in like mid-card matches.
Right.
And it'll get him submissions every great once in a while in in main event matches, like how he won the title. You know, like he made
Right.
Batista tap out, and that was great.
Uh-huh.
But a good majority of the time in the main event scene, submissions are only played for drama. You know.
Yeah, to get
Like,
to the rope and say, "Oh my God,
yeah.
high energy matchup." Yeah.
Like in the last John Cena feud and like before Randy Orton, I guess. Like when he like how many times has he actually won a high profile match with the STF? Like, and like I'm not saying that because I know for sure. I'm just saying, you know, how many. Like I'm pretty sure it's not that many. Like compared to how many main event matches he's had. Like,
Right.
99% of the time he gets the AA and that's it.
Uh-huh.
But people know that the STF is serious, so if he's got somebody in the STF for an hour, you know, people are gonna be like, oh man, is he gonna tap out? You know,
Right.
and that's like the big reason why they want main event guys to have submission holds, is for
Right.
that drama.
Uh-huh.
But they're not gonna let guys tap out a whole lot. You know, it'll happen, but not a whole lot.
Like I guess, you know, like how many times does Undertaker even have people tap out to Hell's Gate?
I think way more often than the STF, actually. I think the success rate is pretty high because the Hell's Gate is like pretty much everything the Undertaker does is supposed to be like kayfabe wise, like the most devastating thing in the entire company. Like if you really think about it, due to the way they've been treating the Undertaker, like his finishing moves are pretty much like kayfabe wise the most devastating ones in the whole company. Like
Yeah.
if you go back to when Undertaker first started using the Hell's Gate,
Right.
like kayfabe, they actually banned the move for a while.
Right. Yeah,
Uh,
like it was like the
Yeah, like it
Brock
was-
Lesnar's move.
right. Like it was supposed to really fuck you up,
Yeah.
and that's how they debuted that move. And everyone
Right.
knows pile drivers are always a big deal in WWE. So like whenever they're done, you know, it's always a big deal. Like Kane and the Undertaker are the only ones that get to do them consistently,
Uh-huh.
and even then Kane barely uses it. You know.
Except when he puts a mask on.
Yeah, you got to do it to Daniel Bryan 3 times, and none of those times were in the actual ring.
Right.
It's like, let's do it on the floor. Now let's do it on the steps. Now let's do it on the table. It was the worst reading of Green Eggs and Ham ever.
Right. I was just thinking the same thing.
Alright, so, I mean, we went through Sacrifice, I guess, a little bit. We didn't want to get too much into that.
Right.
But I am going to give out a small spoiler, so if you give a fuck about TNA, I guess don't listen. Like, maybe skip ahead a minute and a half or so. But, you know, who am I kidding? No one who listens to this cares about TNA, and no one even listens to this, so we really don't got anything to worry about. But anyway, I guess on the May 15th episode of Impact, MVP is turning heel.
Oh, really?
Yep, so after finally getting rid of our heel authority figure, we're going to have a fucking another heel authority figure.
So that makes so TNA is always in one of those boss power struggles. Like that's the only thing you see.
Yeah.
Dixieland.
Like,
Yeah,
apparently what happens, and this is supposed to be the May 15th episode, so, I mean, things could very well change before then. But from what I heard happened, according to, you know, people who were at the tapings,
Right.
MVP revealed that Eric Young's next challenger was going to be introduced next week, but then he turns heel, you know, beats up Eric Young and says that he's going to be the one that challenges for the title.
Really.
Yeah, and then apparently the next episode tapings, like from what I understand, like I don't know for sure, I guess they have that match, but then I think MVP gets disqualified or something, and basically Kenny King comes out and they're both attacking Eric Young, and then Bobby Lashley comes out and, like, you know, tries to make the save to Eric Young, but then suddenly Bobby Lashley turns heel too.
What the hell?
Yep, it's looking like we're gonna have
Nation
of Domination.
Dun, 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 dun.
It's like every black superstar in TNA is now in a power stable.
We're missing one. Okay, who's the fourth guy?
We need to hire more black people.
Right. I can just see, what if Eric Young had a kayfabe promo? Hell, all these black guys coming after my title.
Like, it turns out MVP didn't turn heel. Like, he just retroactively turns face, and Eric Young turns, like, into a racist redneck. He's like, all these blasted, fucking, I don't know, insert racial slur here. I know a ton of black racial slurs, but I'm not going to start shouting them on the podcast. That'd be bad.
Yeah.
But yeah, like, I'd actually pay good money to see that, honestly. Like, or better yet, just make him out to be a baby face. Like, TNA is supposed to be, like, more based in the South anyway. Shit. Have a fucking racist-ass redneck be your babyface champion. It would be amazing.
Yeah, somebody the crowd can relate to.
And speaking of spoilers, I guess while we're in the middle of doing it, I do have a talking point for this next one, so I kind of want to say it too. I don't know if it was the main event of SmackDown, but the Fatal 4-Way match for the United States title.
Right.
Dean Ambrose was defending against Curtis Axel, Ryback, and Alberto Del Rio.
Yeah.
And from what I understand, Dean Ambrose retained. So
okay.
we still got the reign of terror, I guess you can call it, for Ambrose's title. Now, I was thinking about this, and sure, in a real life standpoint, we kind of know that this reign of Ambrose's has kind of been second fiddle to the Shield as a whole. So the United States title hasn't really meant much in the eyes of the public.
Yeah, it reminds me when like Shelton Benjamin was holding wasn't it the Intercontinental for like a while, and he didn't defend it. It was just kind of like around his waist.
Yeah, but as far as defenses go, kayfabe wise, this one is actually pretty big. Like, if you think about it, the guys he was defending against, you had a former Intercontinental Champion in Curtis Axel, a former contender for the WWE title in Ryback.
Right.
And then you had a former World Heavyweight and WWE Champion in Alberto Del Rio. And Dean Ambrose, whose only title that he's held in the WWE was his current United States title, he went over all three of those guys. So, I mean, I don't know if this is one of their efforts to start making the United States title mean a little more, but if we're talking about like kayfabe and what it's supposed to mean, then it's kind of a big win. I mean, sure, you could say it's a fatal 4-way, but I mean, that's really not an excuse. Like when you've got a former WWE and World Heavyweight Champion in there, he should technically, kayfabe wise, be the favorite to win. Because you've got one guy who's never held a title, and then two guys who have only ever had mid-card titles. Alberto Del Rio should have been, again, kayfabe-wise, the shoe-in winner for that match, but Dean Ambrose retained. So, I think that's pretty cool. Like, I don't remember who was the one that took the pin or anything like that, but I know Dean Ambrose won. There's a good chance it was Curtis Axel, though, so I'm pretty sure he was the one that got pinned.
Yeah, that's amazing. Though. It implies that his career may be headed somewhere better. But
hopefully.
Another thing I wanted to bring up was, now the Intercontinental Championship and the United States Championship are both the mid-card titles, but how do you really compare them to each other? Like, what's really the major difference?
Well, that's the whole thing, because they were both. The United States Championship came back to be SmackDown's answer to the Intercontinental Championship during the brand split.
Exactly. Yeah.
So technically, they're supposed to be two titles that are on par with each other. And also, like, when you listen to commentary kind of put over the championships, like, they make every title sound like it's just as amazing as the World Heavyweight title. And, you know, technically it is. Like, technically they are.
Right.
Because really, you know, like, they're all championships regardless of anything. Like,
Right.
if we're talking about, like, a real-life situation, if you were to go into a company and win one of their championships, then that's a big deal. But, like, as far as, you know, in the grand scheme of things go, like, the Intercontinental Championship is higher up because that is the WWE's title, you know? The United States title started off as a WCW championship, so...
So it's kind of like it's like how the World Heavyweight Championship, you know...
Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, like the World Heavyweight Championship played second fiddle to the WWE title when they, you know, when the
Right.
brand split ended. So the same is true for the United States title. As far as, you know, stuff like that goes. But I'm still kind of hoping they unify the titles at some point. Because, like, we really don't need... if you're not going to have any feuds for the mid-card titles, there's no reason to have more than one.
Right.
But, like, if you actually give them stuff to do, then it would be fine. Because if you remember, back in the Attitude Era, you had, the European title playing second fiddle to the Intercontinental title. But
Right.
both championships, they had their own things going on, so it felt like they all meant something.
Right, right. I just, yeah, because I feel like just one belt doesn't even seem like it's worth it. Like, if somebody had a world title shot, but then they didn't win, now they get an intercontinental shot, they didn't win, now they get a United States title shot, it's like, man, I'm just getting worse.
Yeah, I mean, that's why I've always said, like, if you're a former world champion, that should be what you stick to. Like, I don't think you should ever get degraded past that point. But,
Right.
you know, obviously things change, and you got Jack Swagger being a jobber now, and, you know, Chris Jericho constantly winning more Intercontinental titles, even though he's, you know, been a world champion just as many times.
Right.
You know, we should probably get into Raw at some point, because, like, we're about 42 minutes into this recording, and we haven't even talked about Raw yet.
Well, I guess you want to go into... I guess let's skip to some of the most prominent stuff, like how we get Brie Bella in the main storyline now, and how she gets a push because, you know, Daniel Bryan and her.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if you'd call that prominent. I mean, especially considering what happened to start the show.
Oh, yeah, with Evolution.
No. Did you see the start of the show?
Wait, at the start of the show?
Yeah.
Wait, no, remind me what happened at the start of the show.
The choir, Bray Wyatt.
Oh, that did happen at the start,
Yeah.
because I came home late, but I do know that was when Bray Wyatt brought out all the kids.
Yeah, fucking, like, the best thing about that, like, that has a lot of people divided. Like, some people think it was, like, the worst thing ever. Some people think it was the best thing ever. I'm pretty much with the best thing ever group of people, because, like, it basically what it was that a bunch of children were aligned with Bray Wyatt. So the story is that, you know, Bray got to these children, okay?
Right.
And who are John Cena's number one fans?
Children.
The children. So, for all intents and purposes, this was Bray Wyatt saying that I've got your whole fan base in my hands. Yeah, exactly. It's like, it was hilarious, and then Cena's reactions during the whole thing were priceless. Like, this has been Cena's best work as far as acting goes, like, period.
Right. It was
Like,
amazing. Oh, I'm gonna let you finish.
Like, I know, like, this is like a dead horse at this point, but if we're ever going to get a Cena heel turn, it's going to be because of this feud. And I'm not saying we are, but if we ever do, it's going to be because of this feud.
It's funny. I want to bring up 2 points kind of related to that. So, like, I noticed the kids were actually really singing too. Like they could sing like "In His Hands,"
Yeah.
you know, like it was church or something.
Yeah.
And then like you even had all the people on the side wearing the mask
Now,
and the
now, I don't know if this was what actually happened on American TV or not, because like I watch a stream, and the
Right.
stream is Sky Sports.
right,
But the promo happened. You know, John Cena came out, cut his promo, and then we see the choir. They start singing, and then all this happens, and they cut to commercial, right?
right,
So we go through a whole commercial. We come back, and we see the choir with the sheep masks on, and Bray Wyatt's just laughing, right? So this is what we see immediately after coming back from commercial. Bray Wyatt's just laughing his ass off, and this goes on for about 2.5 minutes. Another commercial. And I'm just sitting there like, did I miss something?
An awkward
Like what the
commercial.
fuck?
They
Like-
have the WWE commercial break app on Sky Sports Net.
Like, I don't know if that was what happened, like how they actually did it through the commercial, because stuff happened throughout the first commercial. Like, they showed it to us during a recap during the rest of the show. You know,
Right.
Bray Wyatt came out and started leading the children into song, you know, like, and, you know, that's how it happened there. But, oh yeah, and right after the second commercial, what do we come back to? A replay. A replay of what we already saw. We didn't even really scratch the surface of the stuff that we missed during the commercial. We got a replay of what we just saw.
Like as if it was like a big storm just hit or something.
Right. And this was like, I think it was like 20 minutes into the show at this point. So I was laughing pretty hard at it, you know, like, damn. But yeah, it was a pretty good segment. Like, I enjoyed it.
Yeah. Yeah, I like that he's really playing with his character is really playing along with the universe,
Yeah.
because the universe works with the character really well. Like if it wasn't for the universe, I don't think he can pull this off as much. But since they're actually singing too, it's almost like Bray is just saying, you know, I got your fan base.
Yeah.
You know, like he didn't even need to show all the kids,
Like,
you know,
he-
to show that the
yeah.
fan base was under spell.
Like, even during one of the verses that he led, he changed the words to have him say, "We got the whole C Nation."
Yep.
Yeah. So, you know, the whole... It was a good segment, man. It definitely showed off the supernatural side, I guess you could say, to Bray's character.
Right. That's what I like about his character. He
Yeah,
keeps trying something new every week.
He's a very psychological based supernatural character.
Yeah, it's not just like he's a gimmick with ring skills.
Yeah, like his supernatural powers are rooted in reality. His mind games are his power.
Right.
You know, like they say stuff like, you know, how the Undertaker and Kane, like, they have mind games, you know, just by being able to look at you, and that's because in kayfabe they're supposed to be monsters with control over fucking lightning, and, you know, one's a zombie, one I guess isn't, and, you know, like, who wouldn't like get intimidated just by looking into the eyes of them, you know, like they didn't have to go through the effort for mind games. Like,
Right.
fucking Bray Wyatt's character, like, his mind games is an art form.
Exactly, and he actually speaks it well.
Yeah.
too.
Other than that, what else happened on Raw? Oh, we had Damian Sandow come out as Magneto,
Right.
and I thought it was Mag freaking Neato. The whole bit where Hugh Jackman is pretending that Magneto's powers actually work, and then he's like, "Nope, psych," and then just kind of belts him one. I thought that was pretty cool. The whole time, though, was pretty awkward, because, like, the last time Hugh Jackman was on Raw, you know, Ziggler was a heel, and, you know, Hugh Jackman punched Ziggler.
Right. Oh, I almost forgot about that. 'Cause,
So-
yeah, it was Zack Ryder who was with
Yeah.
Hugh Jackman. Yeah.
So this whole time, like, they're in the ring, and they're trying to be buddy-buddy, and, like, I guess they're doing it as good as they can, but the whole time it just feels awkward. Like, it just feels really awkward. Like, I don't know what it is, but I was just uncomfortable during that whole segment until Magneto came out and saved it a little bit.
Right, like you left here for a whole couple years and you punched me. I want to get my revenge.
Right. Like they wanted to bury the hatchet and whatnot.
Right. Let's see. The Usos went against, what's the name? Yeah, they went against Ryback and retained.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they did. Match was alright. Like, there's really not much you can say other than that.
Right.
Like, I don't know if they were building a feud. I don't remember them announcing that they were going to have a tag match at Extreme Rules or anything. So,
it seemed like they're just kind of building Ryback to be the team getting the push, I guess.
No, I think they're just kind of trying to build up the Usos' credibility. You know, make them defending champions. You know, even if they're not on pay-per-views. Like, trying to make the reign mean something as much as they can.
Right.
And there's that. So I think that's cool that they're at least showcasing the Usos.
Uh-huh.
You know, like every match they've been in has been good. You know,
right.
It's not like the tag team matches circa like 2004 and stuff where the tag team matches were kind of just meh, like filler, and they weren't really meant for anything, in my opinion at least.
Right.
But yeah, like the tag team matches, while the division's not exactly big, the matches themselves have been like consistently okay at the least.
Mm-hmm.
You know? So I gotta give them credit for that, even though they're like still in the middle of breaking up every tag team under the sun.
Tell me about it.
Didn't the Shield do something? The Shield and Evolution, I think they had a segment. I think it was like the main event segment too. Yeah, because it was supposed to be Roman Reigns versus Randy Orton in the main event. But, you know, it didn't take that match long before it got thrown out because fucking the Shield and Evolution started brawling and shit.
Right.
And at first it was looking like Evolution was just going to squash them before the pay-per-view, you know?
Right.
But then at the very last second, like the Shield got, you know, their own offense in, and they actually ended the night standing in the ring, you know, driving off the heels.
Yeah.
So, what do you think's going to happen to that match? Who do you think's winning?
Interesting, because it almost seemed like, well, obviously Ric Flair played a lot of importance in being symbolic. You know how he was pretty much saying how that Evolution is passing the torch.
Yeah, that's kind of what Ric Flair did. Like,
yeah,
Ric Flair kind of symbolically, verbally passed the torch to the Shield.
Right.
And without saying any more words, he just shook all three of their hands, and then, you know, when the main event happened. Right. So it was kind of interesting to see that, and I'm hoping the Shield wins, because that would be a really fucking huge rub if they were to take down Evolution, you know, like
three world champions, 3 main eventers, and a legendary stable at that.
Like, didn't they say they, like, between the three they had like 30 something world championship reigns?
Yeah.
Like, that's crazy. Fucking. And you got the Shield, who, if we're counting just WWE, between them, they only have 1 United States Championship reign and 1 Tag Team Championship reign. So, in the whole scheme of things, the Shield is only about a year old. You know, like, they're coming on their 2nd year.
Like, they're definitely the underdogs.
Technically, yeah. But they've also proven to be, like, one of the most dominant 3-man teams, like, in history. You know? Like, they're definitely up there as being one of the best trios WWE has ever seen. And I kind of wish that they did the Freebird clause with them a little bit more. Like, have them be tag team champions, but have any 2 of the 3 able to defend at any given time. Like, that could have been pretty cool.
Oh, I get what you're saying. It's not. It didn't always have to be Rollins and Reigns. Yeah. Okay.
If I remember correctly, I think the only other team in recent memory who used the Freebird rule was the Spirit Squad. Like, and that's if I remember correctly. Like, I could never tell them apart when I was that age, so I really couldn't tell. I just know that they were tag team champions at one point, and I'm pretty sure it didn't matter which two were in the ring.
That's fine. I remember the Spirit Squad.
Yeah, fucking the Spirit Squad.
Looked like one of those, Kenny! Mikey! Yeah. Wasn't it like that?
Yeah.
Yeah. But, I get your point, though. Yeah, that would have been interesting, but, yeah, the Shield is definitely the one who has the most to gain out of this, and, you know, to beat a man, you gotta beat the man. Makes a lot of sense.
Oh,
you know.
by the way, since we haven't really gotten into Daniel Bryan yet, I've made a couple of parallels between his reign and Chris Benoit's. So him and Kane are going to face each other at Extreme Rules for the title in an Extreme Rules match.
Right.
I think there's about a 30% chance that this is the main event, because I think the Shield versus Evolution is going to get that spot. Now, if I'm right, then both men, both Bryan and Benoit, won their respective titles in the main event of WrestleMania in a triple threat match. 10 years apart. Benoit at 20, Bryan at 30. We already know the similarities between both of their movesets, you know, both of their signature sets and shit.
Right.
Diving headbutt, variation of a crossface, fucking, you know, shit like that.
Right.
Oh, and they both do the same fucking suicide dive too, but you know, that's a lot more general than anything else. Then, they're kind of skipping the title defense of the rematch because, you know, at Backlash, Chris Benoit fought Shawn Michaels and Triple H again in a triple threat. But his first match after that was at Bad Blood, and it was against Kane.
Right.
And that match did not main event. Instead, the main event was Triple H versus Shawn Michaels in Hell in a Cell. So Bryan, his first major defense after the triple threat is against Kane. It's probably not going to main event. And who is in the main event? Triple H.
Triple H.
You know, this what have you.
It's interesting that you thought about all this, because I wonder if that was the intention all along. Like, we obviously know, it's almost like the way Daniel Bryan is in the WWE, it's like he's homage to Chris Benoit in a way.
It's only a matter of time before Brie Bella gets killed.
Oh, no.
She didn't tap.
Too much yes.
That's too much yes. He was injected with the yes.
Oh my god. He wears like face paint, you know, becomes a mask and all type of shit.
Oh man. So yeah, those are interesting parallels. I guess the only thing that's really, the only way to really top it off is if Daniel Bryan ends up losing it to a man who's going to have his first reign at SummerSlam.
Oh, I see. Because
that's when Benoit lost his. He lost his world title to Randy Orton, which was his very first championship, his first world championship reign, and it was at SummerSlam.
Right.
So, and I would not be mad if who beats Daniel Bryan for the title at SummerSlam is, say, Cesaro.
I was just thinking that, Cesaro.
Yeah. Cesaro, maybe one of the members of the Shield, you know? If they wanted to really drive it home, have him be the new youngest champion. Like, I don't know who's like young enough to be the youngest WWE champion right now, but you know, like that would really drive it home. Or like have it even worse. Fucking instead of going that deep, just have him lose it to Randy Orton at SummerSlam, just like Chris Benoit did. So that'd be really pushing it.
Oh man, but then of course that wouldn't be the most popular or one, but then again, Orton is due a rematch.
Yeah. Oh, shit. Fucking, you want to take the parallels even further. Fucking even taking it after fucking Daniel Bryan. Like, have Daniel Bryan lose it to Cesaro at SummerSlam, and then Cesaro, he's celebrating with Paul Heyman and Brock Lesnar. But then Brock Lesnar's like, no, I want the title, and then he turns on Cesaro, making Cesaro an official babyface, the same way Triple H turned on Randy Orton in 2004, turning Orton babyface.
Oh, I get you. I see where this is going.
It's just the past repeating itself at that point.
A thumbs down.
Right. Like, and Paul Heyman's in on it the whole time. Like, Paul Heyman's the one giving him the thumbs up while Cesaro's on Brock's shoulders.
I can see that shit too.
Yeah,
That's the
and then
funny thing
Heyman's
about it.
like thumbs down, and then Brock Lesnar fucking hits him with an electric chair drop, and then we get a feud leading up to fucking whenever. Like, just have it, like, mimic it the entire time. Just have fucking Brock Lesnar take it off of him at the very next pay-per-view, and fucking, you know, it just, I don't know, like, you could book an entire fucking year of Raw just by repeating a past angle exactly.
Different people, kind of like when they have the Royal Rumble winners fall out at the same time.
Right, yeah.
Yeah. That'd be hilarious. So, like, Paul Heyman's like, yeah, you were too goody-goody. You know,
Right.
like, confirming he was a heel a heel manager the whole time.
Right, something like that, I don't know.
Yeah.
So did anything else happen on Raw, or is that pretty much it?
Well, besides, we kind of talked about how... Did we talk about when Bree fought Paige?
I mean,
Well,
I
yeah,
guess.
we didn't talk about when Kane tried to bring Bree to the depths of hell and Bangor.
But did we really need to? Like, that's the question. Like, I kind of been looking at this feud as complete filler, so, like, the second I saw that, I'm like, oh, Kane's trying to bring someone to hell again. Yawn, you know?
Yeah.
He's tried to do that so often that it's
but he's the world heavyweight. He's the WWE World Heavyweight Champion. It has to be important. Let's see.
I think, like, I wonder how many people are legitimately thinking Kane has a chance here, and it's not just a filler feud. Like, and it's not that we think Kane's unbelievable as, like, a threat. It's just that there's no way in hell they're going to take the title off of Daniel Bryan in his first defense and give it to fucking Kane. But, like, honestly, as far as the man himself goes, Kane's only had the WWE title once. And that was only a one-night reign. Like, I think he won it at God, what was it? It was in a First Blood match against Steve Austin. And like, they booked the match, and then they realized, oh shit, how are we going to have him bleed? He's got a fucking mask on. So they had no choice but to let him win it and just have him lose it the very next night.
That's hilarious. Oh my god.
Yeah.
He was in a fucking First Blood match.
Yeah. So that was the very first and only WWF title reign that Kane ever had. He's won the world title a couple of times, but I believe that was around the time when the world title started meaning Jack Diddley.
Yeah, because he did. Then he won the ECW title after that too.
Didn't he? Did he?
He did. Yeah.
Huh. So yeah, like
the ECWW title. Yeah.
Yeah. So Kane, his championship reigns have meant very, very little, and that's really disappointing because he should have had at least a couple more reigns in his prime back when he was like a really good big man. You know, like, you know.
Right. Well, I mean, yeah, Bryan obviously should be holding on to the title. You know,
yeah.
That'd be bad business if he lost it that fast too.
It would not be good for business.
It'd be bad for business.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Another thing, we didn't talk about Cesaro and Bad News Barrett and RVD.
Oh yeah, that's right. Bad News Barrett.
And
RVD.
facing, yeah.
Yep, Bad News Barrett's going to be facing Big E for the Intercontinental title. Looks like they're kind of building something between Cesaro, RVD, and fucking Jack Swagger. Like, it's just kind of all over the place, you know?
I feel like this, if any of the matches will be Extreme Rules, it might as well be that match.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, let's see how many times RVD will job at Extreme Rules, like, in a row.
Oh, you know what? This has to almost be an Extreme Rules match with 2 Heyman guys and Jack Swagger, I guess, you know?
Well, I mean, if it's a triple threat, then it's not going to have any DQs anyway, so...
So, yeah, might as well.
Yeah.
Because it doesn't seem special without it being at the pay-per-view, you know? So.
Like, I don't know. Like, it's kind of shitty that Daniel Bryan's first major defense matters so little because, you know, for all intents and purposes, that should be the match that you're getting everyone to look forward to. But I'm looking forward to fucking Cena versus Bray and Evolution versus The Shield a hell of a lot more than that. And I think it's the same thing with Lesnar versus Taker. Like at WrestleMania, like I was so sure that there was nothing for me to give a fuck about that I just kind of tuned out, and then lo and behold, Lesnar fucking broke the streak. So watch that trend continue, and they fucking take the title off of Bryan and put it on Kane.
I was just thinking that'd be like WWE just has those. You can't make assumptions in the WWE anymore.
Right, like they're trying to pull one over on everybody at all times, like shit.
Like they want us to still be a part of it. You know, they want to still trick us, make sure we're paying attention.
Right. All right. Yeah. So real quick, I think we're going to skip Diva of the Week because you know, this has like been a special episode that's been going on for too long. But real quick, let's run down the matches we know for the card and try and make a couple of predictions.
See.
First off, we got Tamina versus Paige for the Divas title.
I want that to be an excellent Divas match, one of the best ones that they've had.
It's not going to be. It's not going to be. Tamina's not that good, man.
What if she's been training? I know.
I would love for that to be the case. I would, but I don't know. I don't have high hopes for this match.
So you say Paige will steamroll Tamina then?
Steamroll? No. I think it's going to be a John Cena victory. I think Tamina's gonna just be,
okay,
you know, getting a lot of offense on Paige, and then Paige will just randomly hit the Paige turner and win.
Okay, I guess you put it that way. Yeah.
Which is funny too, because kind of going off topic here a little bit, but on the episode of Main Event last night, they had Paige after she won a match standing on the entrance ramp, and then Tamina was out there standing right next to her.
Right.
Now, when you look at those two next to each other, there is not that much of a difference in size. So I'm sitting there like, this is hilarious. Like, Tamina is supposed to be this big, like, fucking bruiser, but she's standing right next to this, you know, this small girl, really. And there's not really that big of a difference, so I just kind of chuckled a little bit. But yeah, I think Paige is going to win that one. I don't think they're going to take it off of her just yet.
Oh yeah, and this is her first pay-per-view defense.
Yeah.
Yeah, like I mean, I was always thinking Paige would retain, but I just wanted to not be a shitty match, if you know what I mean.
Right.
Yeah.
John Cena versus Bray Wyatt. Giving that one to Bray Wyatt.
Yeah, because it's not WrestleMania Ultimate Scenario, you know, anymore. And this seems like the perfect pay-per-view for...
Yeah. Like, Bray Wyatt hit John Cena where it hurts, you know, in his heart, I guess you could say.
Yeah.
So, John Cena's mind is not going to be on the match. He's not going to be able to focus. He's going to, you know, he's probably going to try and hit his comeback, but, you know, I'm hoping that it's not going to be a straight-up victory, and I don't mean, like, clean, dirty or anything like that. But I'm saying, like, have it be like where Cena, like, maybe is about to win, like, by escaping the cage or something.
Right.
But then, as he's about to drop down, you know, the fans that are in the Izod Center, they're going to start booing because they're going to think Cena's about to win. But then Cena's going to take pause at this. He's going to look around like, are they booing me because I'm about to win? And then...
Right, yeah, that would be genius, actually.
And then as he's up there hesitating, Bray Wyatt kind of dives out the cage door and, he gets the win. Like, I'd love to see something like that. Just to kind of...
Something psychological rather than just straight up, yeah.
Right, like, I think that'd be great.
Because, and funny thing is, Cena doesn't really care whenever they do that all the time when they say Cena sucks, let's go Cena.
Yeah, he didn't used to, but...
Yeah, but now Bray Wyatt makes him think.
Exactly, and I think that's great.
That's another thing I almost forgot to mention earlier, but how when the fans voted the 3-on-1 match last week, and he was like, I almost thought you guys, the universe was turning on me.
Right.
He tried to just make it a humble...
Yeah. Like, that's another thing, too. I can't remember his name, but somebody on the boards said that the WWE is so desperate to keep John Cena babyface that they turned the entire WWE universe heel instead of turning him heel. Like, instead of turning John Cena heel, they turned the fans heel.
That's funny as hell.
Yeah, that's hilarious.
They are heel because they're singing, we got the whole world in his hands too.
Like, that's a concept right there. Alright, so I'm going Bray Wyatt for that one.
Me too. I agree about Bray Wyatt.
Daniel Bryan versus Kane. Gonna go with Daniel Bryan. We already talked about this.
Right. Bad News Barrett versus Big E.
I want Bad News Barrett to win. I do.
Me too.
I think he deserves it.
I mean, Big E is a convincing and good champ, but I think it's time for the title to change hands to keep it going,
Thing is, Big E's fucking huge. He'll survive.
Yeah.
Like, like all he's got to do is flex his pecs in front of Vince McMahon for a while, and he'll eventually get another championship. Bad News Barrett kind of deserves to get a nice push, like he needs it.
I think he's on the top of the world right now in popularity because when you can have the internet fans loving you and people in the audience loving you at the same time, and they actually buy into the gimmick, I think you should do it because people be going nuts. Because I remember when Barrett was fighting, who did he beat for his spot last time where the fans kept cheering the face? And I mean, they kept cheering Bad News Barrett but booing the face.
Rey Mysterio?
It was during the... I think it was Rey Mysterio, yeah. Yeah, it was Rey Mysterio. And Rey Mysterio gonna turn heel too. You guys don't like me?
Oh, jeez. That was actually a very surprisingly good impersonation of Rey Mysterio.
Thanks.
Okay, so Evolution versus the Shield. I think this one could go either way, but I'm going to go with the Shield on this one.
Me too. Shield has everything to gain. R-Truth and Xavier Woods versus Rusev.
My guess for that one is who gives a fuck.
Right, I mean...
It's going to be Rusev. Like, why would it not be?
It's probably going to be like when Ryback kept fighting two people.
Yeah, except Rusev is entirely uninteresting. Like, I have I give no fucks about Rusev ever, completely.
Yeah, he needs to do a little bit more. It's like he was trained by Samoa Joe or something.
Like my reaction whenever Rusev comes out is the exact reaction Rusev always has on his face.
Yeah.
It's just
that music is like hella dramatic too.
You know what? I got us a Diva of the Week.
What's up?
Yeah, just real quick. I don't really care too much about her yet, but like the internet seems to love the shit out of her. What is it, Lana?
Yeah.
Rusev's manager.
Nice.
Yeah. I guess we'll go with her. People seem to love her. I don't really care too much right now, but shit, like we might as well. We're running out of divas already.
Ravishing Russian.
Eventually, we're gonna have to start giving Diva of the Week to like especially bitchy male superstars.
Oh, I get it. So it could really be he's a diva.
Right.
You know?
give it to Randy Orton, and we just give it to him every week.
Ooh, like we should choose the Miz because he went to the announce table and just got pissed off.
And they did nothing with that angle. Absolutely nothing with that angle.
That was funny.
Miz is totally getting the Zack Ryder treatment, except Zack Ryder was never WWE champion.
Oh, he's like, okay, well, you need this job, right? Yeah.
Yeah, pretty much.
Well, then you shut your mouth then.
All right. Okay, I guess that's it.
Oh wait, the triple threat match.
Do we know that that's happening?
No, that is on the card.
Is it?
Yeah, RVD, Swagger, and Cesaro.
I'll go with Cesaro.
Yeah.
Because RVD's no longer allowed to win, like, fucking matches where there's no DQ. And Swagger's not allowed to win, period. So...
Oh my god, I can't believe El Torito versus Hornswoggle.
Oh yeah, that match. I don't care who wins, everybody wins that match. Like, they just randomly throw fucking, the eternally babyface Hornswoggle with the jobber heel group, 3MB, and then have him feud with it's so hilarious. Like, I can't even front them on that, like, because because El Torito, he's actually a really talented fucking Mexican, mini wrestler.
Oh, you know what? So that actually would put on the show, because we never... Yeah. Because he does all the flippy stuff all the time.
Like, the match is clearly going to be for entertainment. Like, it's not going to be, this crazy 4.5-star match or anything like that. Right. So expect to see silly things like step ladders instead of real ladders and shit like that. But the match is bound to be okay because you got El Torito and he's good, and I'm sure Hornswoggle at least knows how to wrestle a little bit. He just never gets the chance. I mean, he's the cruiserweight champion, for God's sakes.
Right.
He's the longest reigning cruiserweight champion of all time.
I'm trying to remember, like, WWE did this for a while. They brought a bunch of midgets in for a while. Like, do you remember who else, which other midgets were in the WWE?
Nope. I wouldn't even remember Hornswoggle if he wasn't still around.
I know they had a thing where it was like a bunch of midgets fought each other, unless I'm thinking TNA for some random reason, but I know...
Oh, TNA did that for sure.
Oh.
I know during the infancy of TNA they did that for a while. But WWE, I'm pretty sure, did try that for a while as well.
Okay, yeah, it's not that damn important.
It's just that I don't really care about midget wrestlers, and it has nothing to do with the look. It's just that whenever I see somebody get slammed, I want that shit to boom, okay?
Yeah, me too.
Like, it's purely an aesthetic thing to me. Like, whenever a midget wrestler gets slammed, the ring doesn't even budge, and that pisses me off. And that's even the same. Like, whenever a female wrestler comes off the ropes, I think it's like the saddest looking thing. Fucking whenever I watch, like, I want to see guys like hitting the ropes, like fucking the ropes are like gonna be stretched for a mile, and fucking when they hit the ring, it just causes the fucking thunder. That's those are the things that kind of help draw me in, and when those elements aren't there, it's a lot harder to care for me.
Yeah, that just reminded me though, like, it was funny, I was on Raw when Brie was fighting Paige, and when you said the Divas jumping off the rope, she's like, Brie Bella! And then, like, Paige pushed her off. Like, what was I going to accomplish saying her name? Brie Bella!
Right. Okay, so that's about it then, huh?
Yeah.
We've gone, like, damn near 20 minutes over our normal 1 hour limit here, so...
Yeah, about went over for the show, yeah.
Alright, we're going to go ahead and cut it here. Thank you guys for watching MAWS Talks Wrestling. We have been your hosts. I am LunaKage.
I'm Glenburg.
And thanks for watching.
Alright, peace, everyone. Okay, let me stop my recording.